Hey, what's going on, friends and family? My name is Skylent, and today we're going to be talking about Darkfall, Rise of Agon, not to be confused with the original Darkfall, or Darkfall and Holy Wars, or the new Darkfall, Darkfall New Dawn. This is the other new one, Darkfall, Rise of Agon, okay? Specifically, this is $9 a month subscription, no box fee, no entrance fee, other than you just buy the subscription, and then you play the game. This is going to be an open world, sandbox, hardcore, not Care Bear, MMORPG that has first-person, physics-based combat, which is very, very exciting. I mean, it's got stuff like naval warfare, there's going to be sieges. It really focuses on like that guild versus guild stuff, and in my opinion, I think the ganking is kind of interesting as well. I mean, if you play any of these open-world PvP games, you're always going to have like that archetype of player that just kind of goes around and ganks. So that's my archetype of player. I like going around soloing, but this game seems to be really focused on the guild warfare, which generally these games kind of do. But more so than others. It really focuses on working as a team for safety, of course. Also just like running around, grinding, leveling up safely, because this game has some hardcore penalties. But then also the full potential of the game is really still, taking over territories, using those siege engines and the naval warfare and things. But I gotta be honest, guys, whatever the potential of this game is, I don't know. This is still just a first impression. These are still just my first moments. And I actually had a whole lot of moments with this game. I took a long time trying to play this game, but I've had some issues. And I think it's gotten to the point where these issues were so prevalent that I will mention them in my first impressions. So I've played a lot of MMORPGs these past 5 years, professionally, mind you, okay? So I've played a lot of launches. I've played a lot of pre-launches, alphas, betas, pre-alphas, and I have not played a game that has had these kind of server issues. Now, maybe there are some worse ones, but regardless, in 5 years' time, playing a lot of different games, some of them are just straight up clones and copycats and really probably not good games at all, maybe even debatably games at all. But Darkfall, Rise of Agon had one of the worst launches I've ever seen in a time, in a place with a game that really needed a good launch. I think that I might have been one of the only people trying to cover the game, actually, aside from the people that already play Darkfall. So I was really trying to branch out the game's audience and really trying to get more people playing. I even had literally more people playing with me. We had some subscribers, we had some people who joined in on the stream and wanted to play with me, but the servers just shut down constantly and they reset constantly. And then the latency, I'm pretty sure it wasn't my ping because I'm relatively close to the server, but the latency between all the spells, the interactions, the sluggishness of the game innately just was not great. So overall, guys, I wanted to start my first impressions off by saying I probably had the worst time that I possibly could have with this game, with both the tremendous toxicity and attacks from the community on my streams, as well as in personal life, personal PMs, as well to friends and people I don't know. I had a really awkward time with the community. I could not find a clan to actually participate with me, despite people saying they would. And even though I had some nice people help me out, definitely, overall, I will say my first impressions was probably one of the worst I've ever had. And yet still, hopefully you're still watching this video and not just commenting like I imagine you are. And yet still, actually, I think I'm going to recommend the game to the niche crowd. Of course, I mean, that's kind of a sellout because like any game, bad or good, is probably going to find some people that can love it, but that's kind of the point of the channel, isn't it? If you go to my About Me page, it says, we go and dive into the nooks and niches of the gaming culture, these actual video games. And I really want to make that a point, is that Darkfall, in my opinion, and we're going to go into the nitty gritty here of why I don't like it, but for overall, it's really not a good game. It's really not a good game. It's amateurish, like built and run, the service, the product, the event of the launch and playing this game. All of it was really not that great, but there is still something special here. And that's why I mentioned it on a few top 10s, even honorably mentioned in top 10 most unique MMORPGs. Now, what makes it unique and why would you play this game first and foremost before we just rant on why I didn't like it? Well, you might want to play this game because you probably played a lot of other MMOs and you're looking for something different. Doesn't matter how good or bad, you just want something different. You want an experience. And that's what Darkfall will provide you. See, this is physics-based combat, okay? And that's one thing that kind of makes it a little bit special. Even PlanetSide 2, I don't think has proper physics-based gameplay and combat. This, however, you're going to have stuff like, kind of like rocket jumps. You can bunny hop and you can kind of do some cool mechanical stuff with the magic. There's even stuff like gravity wells. Like there's some cool spells, though I will say now transitioning into more of a critical point of view that it's really hard and grindy to get those spells. Grinding is a huge part of the game. And even though it's a very skill-based game, like you can have so many different spells and utilize them, and they're physics-based, and there's a lot of really cool mechanics between them, getting to that point is really what mostly matters. And so a highly skilled level 1 will not be a higher level person. A higher level person is just going to have bigger, better spells. They will be stronger. They'll have better gear, and they will stomp. Okay, so if you're thinking that this is going to be like PlanetSide, which I think in a lot of ways it does parallel because it's mostly, almost overwhelmingly a PvP game. The quests are just there for the introduction. It's really not the fairness of PlanetSide 2. It's not, it doesn't have the accessibility. You don't just jump in, you don't just play. This is similar to many other sandbox MMORPGs, despite it trying to separate from those, a grind-based game. And grind equals power, and grind is everything. That is what I found in my first impressions, okay? Next up, guys. Okay, so the magic and everything, it is really cool. Now, that's also what kind of makes it unique again. So the number of spells that any one player utilizes. Now, in many other MMOs, like let's say Albion Online or even Black Desert, you kind of choose a class, right? In Albion, you kind of do, in a way. You kind of pick a role and you can mix and match some abilities, but overall, you know, you have a select kit. But in Darkfall, you got like you got so many spells, dude. It's a ridiculous amount of spells that you're utilizing. You're not just kind of using a bunch of spells like at any one time, but you have to really use your brain when you use them. Like I said with the physics-based interaction, you also have spells that kind of switch and swap some resources. Like if you need more stamina, then you need to pour out, I think it's like your mana into your stamina, and you kind of switch that. And then you also have regents that you have to be using to cast a lot of these spells, and a lot of these spells do a lot of different things, and you're going to be switching weapons to use different abilities, and you're switching different spells all the time. It's ridiculous. There's different classes of spells. There's different like attributes to those spells, if it's physics-based or if it's just different kind of numbers, if it's damage over time, blah, 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 you know, the usual stuff. There is a tremendous amount of skill required tactically when playing this game. However, also to a detriment. In those other games like Albion or Black Desert, you choose a class and you kind of have a specific play style. In this game, though, you don't really do that. It's more like most people are kind of more well-rounded in this game. The more well-rounded you are, obviously, the stronger you're going to be. So you kind of, you're going to get to a point where I'm assuming endgame is going to be most people kind of can do most things and they kind of have a preferred play style. Now, that's not exactly a negative. Just keep that in mind. It's not exactly a negative. I prefer having roles in groups and stuff like that, and you can still do that in Darkfall. Like if you still want to mainly heal and stuff, kind of. I think you could be like a healer. You could focus on healing, but generally, I think most people will, you know, in endgame, assumedly, we'll just have everything maxed. So that's kind of how that is. That's how that works. And it really just depends on how you feel about that. What that does, though, is that it makes the leveling process, you can have a unique leveling process. You can kind of select certain, you know, areas to kind of focus on to level. But it's going to make it to where whenever you encounter someone much, much higher level than you, it's just going to be fucking whelming. They will just overwhelm you, they will destroy you, and you won't really have a sense of a skill-based combat, at least in the leveling, which I can say because this is my first impressions. Now, endgame, I can only assume, right? I can only assume what that's going to be like, and I saw some gameplay, I saw some footage, those gravity wells and all the spells and everything look really hype, really cool. However, for my leveling, I didn't really quite enjoy it. So what makes this game unique, you're not really going to feel it. Exactly. You're not really going to feel the uniquity of this game until much later on, and by then you're probably going to quit, frankly. So yeah, physics-based gameplay, that's pretty cool. Now, some other things you're gonna notice is whenever you're playing in the actual like open world PvE, whatever, just grinding goblins nonstop, you're gonna notice that there is, you know, true projectiles, things travel through the air, truly, like really, they actually exist in real time. They have to spawn, they travel, they land, they hit. So even the PvE can actually be skill-based combat. So here's the next uniquity that the game has, and that's gonna be the mobs are kind of chaotic. Now, I've only ever seen this, I think, in one other game. That was Firefall, and that was only for a small subset of creatures that died in one hit anyways. Just to make them act more chaotically, erratically. But in this game, these creatures have kind of higher health bars, and they actually change weapons too. So a goblin fighter will come at you with a sword or whatever, but then maybe back off. He can start running around in circles and then switch to bow and then start attacking you. And in a skill-based game like this, where you actually have to aim your spells, and they travel in real time, it can make the PvE really, really fun. So I'm actually kind of disheartened that Darkfall's gameplay doesn't have more questing and more bosses, you know, field bosses and stuff like that. Now, I know there are some bigger creatures out there that, and there are farm spots, you know, just like Black Desert, but it's not, I would actually really have liked it if Darkfall did focus on the PvE because, well, frankly, that's what you're going to be doing most in this game, apparently, at least as a leveling That's how you level, actually. Like, you just sit there and just mindlessly spam spells on things. But yeah, no, like the PvE had so much potential. And so that's just kind of a point I want to make, is that there's a lot of small little uniquities. To some people, it's like, well, what's that matter? You know, I mean, it's whatever. The gameplay overall might look boring to you, but there are some small little things, if you read into it, are actually really special when it comes to the grand spectrum of MMOs. Frankly, I would love to see more physics-based gameplay in MMOs. I would love to see more erratic AI, you know, with longer actual sights, as in they have a larger aggro radius. I want that. I want that in my MMOs, and Darkfall has that. But at the same time, if we're going to say that what makes Darkfall very special is everything combined, then we're going to have to talk about how it looks, how it feels, and all that. So physics-based gameplay with actual launched projectiles, and, you know, it's skill. It's all skill. That's what everyone wants to say. Okay, well, no, it's laggy. The game is laggy. There is no getting around it. If you say that the servers are, if you say they're perfect, you're objectively wrong. It's not perfect. It's not even near perfect. And again, a big excuse might be, well, this is a new dev studio and their server overheated, which, you know, it would explain the server issues, like tremendous amount of server issues. No. Okay, we've been playing this game for a week. I've given this a decent amount of time. And if this was a true professional product, then I would expect it to be much, much better. This isn't beta anymore, baby. Okay, we're actually in full launch. We are full steam ahead, but the servers are not. So the ping is bad. And in a game like this, you really feel it. And if you don't feel it, you're completely biased because you just love Darkfall for some reason. But me, I'm here as a critic, and I'm here trying to get people to play the game, and I need them to know the hurdles they must overcome in order for them to actually enjoy the game. So if you're gonna play this game, especially as an archer, oh my god, as an archer, it is very, very difficult, and not in a good way. It is overly difficult, as in the server really plays against you. These mobs, they move really fast. You move kind of slow, actually. You know, like, everything actually moves really slow. That's another point, is the game actually isn't as fast-paced when it comes to just normal leveling as it might be when you're PvPing. But when you're just kind of leveling, everything is really slow, like, overly slow. Arrows kind of move slow through the air, you know, your magic bolts move slow through the air. You're constantly gonna miss, despite how good your aim is. Okay, I'm Masters in Overwatch. I play arena shooters like Quick Champions, especially focus on projectile type abilities, and I was just missing all over the place, dude. The servers, the latency, also the awkwardness that you don't actually launch things when you click the mouse button. You click it, and then you have to have the little charge bar follow through. And then it takes a little bit, even once it completes, to actually launch the spell, and then the spell takes time to travel through the air. And then even when it lands, you can actually clearly see like microseconds pass before it actually does damage, and there's splash damage for a lot of these spells, but it's just seriously so slow, and it just feels like you're playing like maybe what would be a great MMO if it was underwater. So quite a tragedy there. Also, guys, you've been seeing the gameplay for about 13 minutes now. You can clearly see the graphics. Now, this is a video I did a while ago where I talked about graphics in MMO, how it matters. You know, there are entire college courses, you know, in video game design, probably video game programming, because it's just something that you need to talk about with graphics in video games. It's called video games. Video, the graphics matter. Okay, they talk about in books, in lectures, the graphics absolutely matter in a game. And when you have a game that is supposedly extremely skill-based, okay, where you need to clearly see animations, clearly see creatures in the distance, or even like if they're right against you, sometimes a goblin is like right on me, or a player is right on me, and I'm trying to look at them, and I can't look at them. The FOV is awkward. People are phasing into me and out of me, the goblins. Sometimes the textures get really muddy. You can't really see clearly. And it becomes a point to where I can't fully, optimally play the game because of the graphics. Again, that's my first impressions. A lot of people are going to say, well, you just need to get good. Well, I've played it for a week, and I'm pretty fucking good at games, okay? And I played a lot of MMOs. So if there's any comments like that, just say it's a troll. It's just a troll, because objectively, you all can see the graphics are not great. Now, most of the graphics, I will admit, are going to be actually on lower settings, because funny enough, on lower settings, the game becomes incredibly more clear. The shadows and everything, where if you want more fidelity for this game, it actually makes the game worse, okay? Now, there are a lot of other competitive games where that kind of is the case as well, where it muddies up the image and everything, and that's really what I'm talking about. But even at the base level, where you take off shadows and everything, It's just the raw textures. It's the textures, it's the colors. It's like the people that made this game originally didn't know like fucking color theory and shit like that. Like they didn't take a single art class. It's like the first thing you learn is like the color wheel, you know? And it's like they just put random, probably royalty-free textures all over the place. And it's really, really messy. It's really noisy. It's gonna grate on your eyeballs, and it's actually gonna hinder your gameplay. It will. It will hinder your enjoyment of the game. So, saying that was the original developers of Darkfall. Now, this game, as I can tell, I haven't played the original Darkfall, but from what many people who have played it said during the streams and what I've seen from videos, is that overall, graphically, I don't think there was like no overhaul. It's basically the same core game. In fact, there's actually parts of these different maps and areas that are really poorly constructed. Really, if I had to rate kind of the original Darkfall, it really seems like some developers who had fucking no idea what they were doing just spammed a game, kind of. They just kind of threw things together with really maybe no even love or heart into it. But then there just happened to be some uniquities to it. You know, there happened to be some special things to it, and the community latched onto it. And from what I can tell, from what the community has said to me with all these other renditions of the game, is that's kind of what happened. All these other companies just didn't really give a shit, but the community knew that there was something special here. So what I'm talking about is like the map is just designed bad, okay? It's just bad. The way the spawns work, the spawning is how it works is actually interesting, but where the spawns are, where the farming takes place, the overall design of like the cities, especially if you go into basically like the Dark Elf area. I forget the name. It's like Alfar or something like that. If you go into one of their starter cities, it's just disgusting. You have like stairs that run into walls that then spawns like another stair on another wall, and like there's places where like paths just go into walls, and it's just like they just kind of threw together brushes. They just threw together objects and just called it a city. And none of the cities are planned out in an ingenious way. And again, they're very empty, dude. They're empty. They're so empty. There's no NPCs. There's no charming quests to go and play and pursue. And it's just really, really not a great experience visually. But what about audio? Audio is something that I haven't heard talked about at all. No, the audio is bad. The audio is 100% garbage. And I was really kind of trying to stay away from saying words like that. But no, it's completely garbage. Now, the graphics you might be able to get past. Even though I do believe objectively it is not good, I probably wouldn't say garbage. I would probably say, you know, there's a lot of people playing the game and they're almost in a way, there's a kind of charm to it, how bad it is. You know what I'm saying? Okay, maybe that doesn't make sense. But the sound is inexcusable. And it's really not that hard, okay? I honestly think, you know, swapping some textures or just kind of retooling them, refixing them would be good too, and not that hard. But this audio needs to be fixed, okay? The 3D sound, completely broken. I turned all the 3D, the little slider all the way up. It didn't fix anything. I used my headset. I used different speakers. It didn't help. I thought it was on my end. It's not. The 3D audio is completely broken. You cannot specifically hear where somebody is exactly, okay? And in a PvP game, in a full loop PvP game that's all about skill, you just can't hear shit. Basically, you can hear if somebody is in the area. But whenever somebody is in your vicinity, you might be able to hear a direction that they're in, but you will not be able to tell how far away they are. They might even actually be above you. Like if you're under a mountain, like in the Dark Elf City, and they're fighting goblins up top or something, it's like you can fucking hear them, dude. Like you just hear fighting, and it's like, where is this? So here, I'm just gonna let this play clip. Here, listen. Now, if you had, you know, a studio headset on, you'd probably be like, where the fuck is that noise coming from? It is bad. It is not good, and that is another reason why this game is actually not a full skill-based game. Okay, so this is probably going to be a very meta first impression. That's why it's a little bit longer. Okay, so this specifically was kind of an adventure for me. It was really more exploring something really new, and that's why I wanted to stream it. That's why I wanted to do a full review on it. But it's like every step of the way, for every positive of this game, there is a very big negative that will immediately stop people from playing. Immediately. Okay, if it's the animations, which aren't even really accurate to the hitboxes. If it's the sound design, if it's the graphics, and everyone says that plays this game, it's like, oh man, it's everything. It's the whole of Darkfall that makes it special. It's really not. If you consider everything of Darkfall, every special thing this game has probably has a negative, an overwhelming negative that will stop people from playing. So it's a PvP, you know, specific game. it's actually not that skill-based. I mean, maybe on paper, but really in the end, there's a whole lot of randomness based on the server latency, based on the 3D sound. It's really hard to hear people, you know, stuff like that. It's hard to see people. So in the end, if you compare it to actual competitive games, actual skill-based games, this game, it doesn't really feel that good. That's all I can say. It doesn't feel good. Now, if you play the game and you play it and play it and play it and play it, you can maybe get past those things, but already you're biased to the game. You're already biased and you're just looking past the flaws. I'm here to say that there are flaws. You can't say they don't exist, because they do. So yeah, no, you have the sieges and you have the naval warfare, and that's really cool. And the PvE actually has so much potential. But as a first impressions, I really just kind of fought the same things over and over again. And like, I mean, there were some really exhilarating moments. There truly was some danger, man. I even came across a dragon, dude, and there was some cool shit that happened. I have to admit it. There was an adventure. There was kind of a quest, sort of. Kind of, but almost nobody's actually going to put up with the game. I was able to because I was getting donations, I was getting streams, and I was doing a video. Like I was playing this game as work, you know, and I had fun. I did. But if it was just me playing it for fun, I would have probably played it the first day and then asked for a refund. In fact, many people that were playing with me did just that. They played it. They might have even played for a couple of days and they just couldn't anymore. I know many hardcore players of Darkfall actually did the same thing as well. Overall, my encompassing decision on what I would qualify this game as is that really, if you look at, compare and contrast it to the original Darkfall and what this is now, it really feels like this is private server quality. And I played a lot of private servers. This feels like somebody just took the kind of source code, changed up some things, sure, claimed it was the most important changes that could have happened at that moment, which I completely disagree with, and then sold the game. So this isn't alpha beta. This isn't a private server. This is a monthly subscription game. And I want to really hit this home, okay? $9 a month for this game, which is not as good as it could have been, and it needs to be polished up incredibly. You're buying a professional product. This is a service that needs to be sustained. And for my first impressions, the service was literally not sustained. The server is going down constantly. I found that the overall production of the game was very poorly done, very unprofessional, and literally unprofessional, as even self-stated in their video, like what is Rise of Agon, the game is mostly fueled by volunteers. So it's something that I really stand against. And I really don't appreciate the game, I don't know, kind of overselling itself. It's really overselling itself. The community's overselling it. And this whole channel is very meta, okay? We try to get people to try new games. But when your own community is like so desperate and thirsty, but at the same time so toxic, it's really confusing. It's like, do you want us to play the game, or do you just want to cater to your hardcore audience? Because your payment plan being a monthly subscription with a soon-to-come cash shop is indicative of having a small player base and a small consistent player base, and you're just trying to milk money out of that. So, to the players of Darkfall, I suggest that maybe you look at Darkfall New Dawn, but if you do want to try a new game, this game probably might be worth it for the 1 month, but maybe wait a little bit. The servers are obviously down a lot. The game still has a lot of latency issues, and it will ruin your experience. In a game like this, it absolutely ruins it. And it needs to be said over and over and over again, because most likely, overwhelmingly, the comments are going to say shit like, I play Darkfall, the latency ain't bad. I've played Darkfall for freaking 10 years. It's the best shit ever, man. So it needs to be said. Somebody needs to speak out about these games. And I really want to make it a point, guys. I'm somebody who advocates these kind of games. I literally have advocated Darkfall. Okay, I did. I put it on multiple top 10s. I put it in a lot of different videos as, you know, gameplay in the background. I did share this game, and I think it still should be shared, actually. And well, that's why I'm actually doing this video. However, me consistently playing it, as somebody who would generally is very biased toward these kind of games, I want to play these games. No, I'm not going to continue playing it. It's really not a full product. It's not worth my money. Maybe it's worth some people's time. But overall, I think that this should have just been a free private server for everybody to try to, you know, enjoy the game, because it has some glaring flaws that are not worth the money. Thanks for watching, guys. That's it for my first impression on Darkfall. I wanted to make this kind of a rant and a ramble, not really professionally edited, because in the end, I don't think the game is worth a professional, you know, real full review. And I doubt you'll actually find that on YouTube at all. This is probably the most you'll get. So there's that. That's probably an indicator of what this game really is. However, if you do play the game, I wish you luck. Good luck, have fun. I know that you're going to have a lot of hardships, but you've already pushed through that, and adventure awaits you. And if you do try the game, I do hope you have fun. I honestly had some fun. There are some moments, there's some cool shit in the game, but there's just a whole lot of sand to sift through to find the gems. Much love, have fun, guys. My name's Skylent. I'll see you in the next one.